Good morning. Morning, everybody. Just trying to make sure everything is working properly on my end. Hopefully, we're using a very, very inexpensive uh, camera stand, so it's what it is. We're living that life out here this beautiful Tuesday morning in the old Midwest. It's warmed up quite a bit compared to what it was this weekend. It is cold. Cold, cold, cold. It's delicious. A little caffeine to get the day going. But pretty clear sky, a little bit of clouds, but nothing too crazy. Ah, good morning, Mason. How are you doing today? Thanks. I mean, he doesn't work there anymore, but it it was free swag. I love free swag. It feels wrong not being called Zahir, not gonna lie. Well, didn't it feel wrong to be called Zahir sometimes as well? No, it felt right. Yeah, same people. I've met you. I've seen him in passing. Definitely. Most 100%. You've just been hiding it this whole time behind your facade. Oh. How'd you like those World's Strongest Man results? Well, I wanted Shaw to win. I also wanted Alexi. Really, they were my top two. I'm glad Alexi made the podium. Slightly bummed for Shaw. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if something flared up or something because he didn't even load the final stone, which was weird. But oh, when he got that, so I thought Hoopers was a little suspect. I saw another angle of Hoopers, and it was a little more convincing. So I was like, okay, I'll let it go. But Evans dumbbell, there was one that he was given, and I was just like, I don't. Every angle I've seen of it, it's, and again, no fault to him. Uh, no fault to the athletes. Like when they say down and they give you the rep, you do what you do. It's a competition. But uh, uh, yeah, Evans, I was just like, what the hell is this rep? Wait, did something else happen to Evan? I don't really follow him that much. I've heard good things about him as a human being. I just don't like his social media personality very much. All right, I just saw you said Evan was not gonna last. Sorry, dog. And I was just like, well, now I feel like he just gave up on his strongman career. But um, we'll see. I don't know who he's working with. I will say this: Evan Singleton is very, 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 very strong. But I feel like he needs to um, work with a training partner who is as strong or around that strength level, but is way more technically proficient. Uh, oh yeah, no, he wasn't even. The elbow wasn't locked out. It was this. Yeah, he was not even close. He should not have been given that rep at all. So um, there was no control there. I'm not quite sure what was going on there. Uh, oh yeah, because he had to pull out, didn't he? I mean, that's part of the game. You sign up for the contest. You know there's going to be this gigantic dumbbell. Uh, the likelihood of it getting dropped on your head, giant handle, it makes sense. But yeah, so that's a little unfortunate. But I definitely think I would love to see Evan Singleton train for a year or two with someone like a Brian Shaw, or I'm trying to think of another American who's at that same kind of attention to detail level, because it's just like Evan needs to work on his shoulder mobility. He's like he's just brute strength, which is great. But imagine what that brute strength would do if he was in better positions 95% of the time. I think that he could be, and he's very, very young still. So I think he could really mess with some people. Dude, yeah, if I had to choose any strongman in the history of strongman and put them in, like, and say, hey, you have to coach this person to win from zero to a national champion in strongman, um, and it had to be an active pro, definitely Brian. Mainly because he is probably one of the few pro strongmen out there who has he does have that educational background and coaching background already. Ooh, the pollen's getting me. He's got that educational background already. He's got the strength and conditioning coaching background. And then, yeah, he's got freaking 15 years of experience. Making the finals, which is insane. Uh, I, yeah, he definitely, out of all pro strongman in general, I feel like him, Zajernis would be good. Again, just so much experience, and he's done about every sport you can do. That's not American, obviously. Good morning, Bort. I just saw your message. Sorry. Uh, Zajernis would be good. I'm trying to think of other active pros, but that goes to that. That doesn't mean to say that they are. Dude, Zajernis loves his hip thrust. I mean, you can't argue with the guy who is almost 50, right? I don't know how old he is, but if he absolutely had to, he could still qualify for World's Strongest Man, probably, um, which is insane to think that he's still at that level in retirement and he can, yeah, 47. That's insane. Come out of retirement and really just wipe the floor with most. Like, I don't think, like, his condition right now, I bet he is strong enough to enter, like, the world's strongest man. He might not make the finals, but I feel like he'd still beat everyone else. He'd be the closest guy to making the finals who didn't. Like, if they did a point count back, I feel like he'd still be able to pull it out of his ass somehow. Maybe even win the qualifier somehow. I don't think he could win another World's Strongest Man. I think it's too long. It is not the best, I think, for an older athlete because of how many consecutive days or how many days in a row or short time span they are pushing their bodies at such a high level. It's just your recovery slower. It's going to be harder to be consistent event to event if you don't have that kind of youth on your side. And Zajernis was never known as like a fast guy anyways. He was the freight train, so if that freight train's not moving anymore, it's going to be a little challenging for him. But I will say there is quite quite a lot of strongmen out there who I don't think need to coach anybody, and that the only reason they're coaching people is because they are famous pro strongmen. Um, they don't actually really know stuff, or their programming's not the most efficient. And the vice versa. I think there are plenty of very, very good trainers and coaches out there who haven't competed or don't compete very often or / at a high level, who happen to be decent coaches as well. So I wouldn't say experience helps, uh, but it's not the end all be all. That is why I still every once in a while do a competition, just so I can know how it feels. That's the best way I uh, uh, best way I learn how events feel. And then when you know how an event feels, you can go around, figure out other, like for instance, the Conan wheel. If you've never done a Conan's wheel, you don't really know how crappy it is or what you should do to kind of train around it or train for it. So um, getting those experiences is good. Uh, but I don't think that you have to be like a national level strongman to be considered a good strongman coach at all. Um, if not having that separation, this is something that it's my argument against like coaches who played the sport, is coaches who didn't ever play the sport have an intrinsic separation from it. So that love for the game isn't the same, which can help drive it. But I think that also can help make stupid decisions, because you want, like if you are a coach, you kind of start living, or if you've had a past sports life, you're taking those experiences in, which can be helpful, but also that competitive drive. Sometimes you need someone who has that mental separation of just like, this isn't the end all be all, blah, blah, blah. We need to come at it in a more structured, precise approach. And that is what I typically do. Because, I don't really care about, this is probably controversial. I care about how clientele do and how athletes do, and I want them to succeed. But most sports I could care less about. I don't watch a lot of sports. If I'm working with a team, I do a lot of research and stuff like that into the sports, but I'm not actively just sitting on ESPN and Sports Channel just watching all the time. Because my job is not to be a sports coach, it's to be the trainer. I'm trying to make them a better foundational athlete. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm meaning by that, because it's like I still do have this drive that I want my athletes to succeed, but I don't want them to succeed because I love the sport. I want them to succeed because I want them to succeed. It has nothing to do with the sport itself or what path they're going down, if that makes sense. So kind of separated from that investment of history of a sport, if that makes sense. Where it's like, if Brian Shaw goes in, there's a certain amount of expectation behind his name. There's a certain weight. And I think that can negatively impact coaching and expectations and stuff like that. Agreed. Definitely don't. There's, again, that experience is unmatched. I think Brian Shaw is a very unique athlete when it comes to this, because of the fact that he was a coach first. He went from basketball, then he did the strength and conditioning and decided to make that switch to full-time strongman. So it's not that he would have probably turned out to be a very, very, very successful strength coach. And that's how he approaches his training, his recovery, his nutrition. He's very attention to detail. So if he was working one-on-one with clientele, I think he would be an amazing example. Kind of blending those lines together, if you will. He's also young enough ish, that he's not all still stuck in the old ways, the old days. Luckily, he was trained under a coach who had progressive thoughts when it came to training modalities, which is helpful. I think that is what has, for someone who has had a career as long as Brian Shaw has, he's had his injuries, but I mean, other people have had way, way worse, and his career just kept going. And he kind of kept building on it. So very, very, very impressive. I'm curious to see how he does with the because his last competition is going to be the Shaw Classic, and I think if he approaches that with the same mentality he did World's Strongest Man, doesn't have. I'm still wondering if his leg was not fully healed up, because when I watched him in the stone off, I don't know if you noticed this, Mason, but when he was doing the stone off, you could see, I think it was his left leg that had gotten the infection. You could kind of see him favoring over on that right leg a ton. For the first 3 or 4 stones, you kind of see him pull at a didn't bend the left knee, but I was worried if that sepsis that he had, I mean, obviously it was going to affect him no matter what, but I'm wondering how much impact it did have, or if the deadlift earlier in the day really just, or earlier in the week, the day before, just toasted his hamstrings and hips a little bit. Because I don't remember which hamstring he hurt at the Arnold that one year. Because he tore his hamstring doing the elephant bar deadlift. And I don't remember if that was his left or right hamstring. And then he subsequently went and set a world record on the Atlas Stone. Honestly, in my opinion, and again, he runs his own company, runs his own shows, runs his nutrition company. He's got enough stuff going on. But if he wants to stay involved actively as a strongman, because the guy's not going to stop training, right? He's been training for his whole life, loves it. I would love to see him go after, grip strength feats, maybe go after some stone record, like the 1 rep stone. Get in contact with Giants Live or whoever it is, and go for a stone 1 rep max record, because I definitely think he's got that in him. I'd love to see him start putting on maybe some amateur shows out in the Colorado area, some less publicized ones, just kind of giving back to the amateur community as well, because that's what's feeding the pros. But very, very interested to see what he ends up doing with his post full-time strongman career. But definitely he's probably going to set some grip world records. Should train for that trap bar deadlift world championships. I know that Joel Dirks, do you remember, did you meet him do you know who he is / met him down in, he was at that Central Expo last summer. He did the Thomas Inch dumbbell demonstration, things like that. But he does a lot with like that world trap bar deadlift, or the trap bar world deadlift championships and the silver dollar. And I bet Brian Shaw on a trap bar in a deadlift suit and straps is a very big weight. And I would love to see him just go and set that super heavyweight world record. That'd be hilarious. That's something that I kind of, it's like, I think it's like 555 kilos. So yeah, it's like 12, 15 or something like that, right? I'd have to look it up, but yeah, it's a lot of weight. But it's hilarious. I know, that'd be impressive. It'd be very, very cool. A lot of weight off the ground, and if he learned how to use a deadlift suit, Brian Shaw could lift a lot of weight. That's kind of one thing that I think might have helped him out later on in his career, is he really avoided that deadlift suit so much. until kind of past his prime, if you will. I don't want to say past his prime because he's still very, very good. But he had those injuries, and I definitely think those competitions that allowed him to wear a deadlift suit for many, many years, he just never wore it because he, the uncomfortableness, not feeling the same. Well, if you train raw all the time, the deadlift suit's not going to feel right. It just doesn't. And I think if earlier in his career he had kind of messed around with that and utilized it more often, obviously still do the same thing. The elephant bar had to be no suit. Although they allowed him to wear briefs this year, which they didn't before. So the fact that no one came close to what Eddie Hafthor or Brian pulled on that first elephant bar year, which was insane, because they weren't allowed to wear briefs at all. They just had their Ray-Ban and stuff on, their compression tights. So the fact that really no one even came close, probably the only person who actively as a pro strongman has a shot at that elephant bar world record, is currently coming back from injury. We'll see if JF ever gets back into the game. I watched a couple interviews with him saying that he's coming back. The strength is there. He's just saying the moving events are kind of hard for him, which is unfortunate because he's also just an amazing strongman athlete. But that deadlift champion, the trap bar deadlift championship, I'm planning on hopefully doing it in 2024. So I'm going to take this year, still doing, as I said previously, rebuilding everything up. We're going to start doing some trap bar deadlifts next week. Me and Bill slowly work that up. Start off, not wearing any equipment, just straps, getting used to the movement again, and then do a phase there, maybe do another phase where we start using a belt, and then belt and suit, and just kind of see where it's at. So that's kind of looking what the remainder of the year training wise is going to look for me, really pushing that while still training my double overhand. I'm going to use that as a secondary deadlift day, just working my grip and keeping my deadlift movement pattern under control. I think will be really, really good. We'll see. It's a lot of posterior chain work, and it's probably going to be quite a bit of tonnage. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Need to start eating more rice. But I say a lot. Yeah, sleep and rice. What happened to Pablo? Because I wasn't able to see any of that stuff when it happened, which sucked. I know that there was a lot of the foot. Is that what you're talking about? Because he got disqualified, or his run ended at that point. I'll say this. I don't know if they should have subtracted 20 meters. I think they should have said, hey, you didn't cross the line, that's your stop point. If that's what they did with the subtracted 20 meters, then I'm okay with it. The thing that is problem is I saw one angle where his foot is over the line. What they need to say is your foot has to cross and touch behind the line. Yeah, he definitely, with that, if he had gotten that point, I think his momentum would have been really, really good. He would have been probably challenging for a top spot, which would have been insane for him to do. But, if they tell him, again, he followed the directions, and there was quite a bit of pushback about the World's Strongest Man. One with the fact that it's not being live, which is true. It should be. They need to get their act together. I know they love doing it out there on the coast, but they've had all these rain problems and delays. You got to bring it back to some place that doesn't have as much coastal weather up and down stuff. in my opinion, or into a place where you can have an inside venue. I know it's really hard, but it's just it's so out of date, and the judging has been kind of suspect the last few years a couple times. And if they want to keep their TV rights, I think the biggest problem is with how much the Rogue stuff is growing and the live streams of those and the amount of money they're making off those, the amount of money the Shaw Classic's bringing in now. And streaming wise, the fact that he's doing multiple day contests with 8 events, like he's already proven if you're organized and you're doing this well, these contests can be done more effectively. I'd love to see Brian, maybe now that he's retired, get involved with the promotion side of World's Strongest Man, help run that, or at least give more ideas, because they need to get it better structured. Again, I know they can't control all the factors, but it's ridiculous. Have more clarifications in the rule. This competition, this sport has existed for so many years, and the shield carried or bag carry has been that's true. What if he bought stake in it, though? Then he makes money off of it. Shoot, maybe he's just going to run it himself. He's going to take over the World's Strongest Man. He's going to do a buyout. But I think that overall the structure of World's Strongest Man, the ideas behind it, has been very, very good. Some of the reffing has been suspect. You got to be more clear during the meetings. Leave again. I remember I've interviewed a handful of strongman, and you always have the same kind of response of, and the ignorance is bliss. If they don't specify something's not allowed during a rules meeting, you can kind of skate the rules, and then you have a thing saying, hey, you didn't say it wasn't allowed, which is very, 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 very true. And I agree. At the end of the day, World's Strongest Man equals television. It is frustrating, but they've got to. It's the problem is if they don't get behind it, because this is, I think, what we're encountering now is very similar to what happened with IFSA and World's Strongest Man. The difference, though, is when IFSA was a big thing, social media and online presence was not. So they had no other way to really compete with the televised World's Strongest Man. It was just always going to get more viewers than IFSA was going to get. But now with social media and all the streaming platforms and the monetary, it's, Rogue's been doing it, Shaw Classic's been doing it, a lot of these other competitions have been doing it, and at this point they're all ahead of World's Strongest Man. There's more legitimacy behind a lot of them, and although I like the World's Strongest Man as a contest, I'm a mixed bag on Colin Bryce, but I think Darren Sadler's a very good strongman promoter. He's very good at creating holistic contests. I mean, a lot of the Giants live contests are pretty good too, but they got to address it, because before they had that TV stake and history to build up to fight back, but now that streaming's a thing and television is not as big of a thing. If you're not having a competitive streaming platform at the same time, you just can't compete. And in the day and age that all of us knew all the results, they announced it. Why are we not allowing video to get released? Why is this a thing? It needs to be addressed and kind of fixed. Personal opinion. Yeah, it could be done way, 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 way better. Yeah, here's the thing. If the Shaw Classic or the Rogue is the Rogue televised? Because I don't remember if it's televised or just streamed. But if the Rogue Invitational gets televised, World's Strongest Man is going to be whoever's writing their contracts up is going to be like, hey, we need some more output from you guys, or a little bit better presentation, because that's what they've got right now, is the fact that they are a televised contest where none of the other ones are. I just realized I think my hose is still running outside, which is not great for my water bill. Whoopsies. I just saw it dripping, and I go, well, that's not supposed to be happening. Ugh. I wasn't watering anything. I had to clean my gutters out yesterday. There's quite a big buildup in the actual downspout, so I had to use my hose to pressure wash that out to get all the gunk out. But I am a greens guy because an acquaintance gave me a 50% off code, and I very rarely eat vegetables, so I should, but it's all right. A lot of the stuff in it, I feel anecdotally, I've noticed a difference. Scientifically, I'd love to see some more stuff about it. I mean, if AG or Athletic Greens wants to sponsor me, I'll take a sponsorship. I'll drink the shit out of your stuff. I don't mind it at all. I mind the price tag. That sucks. But yeah, I know, right? That the only reason I did it was just for the convenience and the fact that I was not paying as much as you could be. But I did have blood tests done. All my vitamin levels and fun stuff like that was in good check. So you've got that. I do, Mason, I do very much agree that usually they're overpriced. I was mainly doing it for the fact that I was so busy, with working 3-4 jobs at the same time, that it was just more convenient for me. So really it's the convenience aspect that I utilized it for. I've actually, with the situation I'm in, I'm canceling my subscription to it, because it's just like I don't need to use it anymore, because one, financially it doesn't make sense for me to keep using it. So I've got it. I'll keep using it until I don't have it anymore. I think Athletic Greens, of the ones I kind of looked at, there's, I did research. It's got a decent amount of good stuff in it. It's got that proprietary blend, which they get away with telling you exact amounts with, but compared to the other green ones, they're not too shabby. I haven't heard this Poliquin lemon water story, but he's got a lot of good stories about him before his passing. Enlighten me, my friend. I don't mind lemon water. I don't drink a lot of it. Whew. This. Oh yeah, I have heard that, because it's 100% anecdotal that's effective, because I don't think I remember trying to look it up, because I feel like that's one of the big fitness fitness misconceptions, which it makes sense. Honestly, it's the same principle behind the placebo effect, where it's just like, if you think something's helping, it's going to help. So it's like, maximize it. They have that one study, I think they talk about it on Elite FTS on the podcast a couple times, about how they give them you know, the fake glucose pill, but they were telling the people it was steroids, and they had similar, if not nearly the exact same changes in muscular strength and power as people who were actually taking steroids or something like that. So um, that's hilarious. Basically, here's a really easy thing that makes you feel like you're doing something every morning to build positive momentum. Exactly. It's the green shake, I would say, is probably in the same vein of that. Um, Really, for those of you, you don't need to buy fancy greens powder. It's if you're lazy, in my opinion. But it's just, or you're really bad at using your vegetables. That's also my thing is, you know, I'll buy the spinach and the vegetables and the other things used to make a green shake in the morning, or greens nutrients shake, and then I just don't use them very often, and then everything spoils and I can't use it. So at least this way I'm spending money, but I do use all the money that I spent, where prior a lot of it went and did not get utilized. So I will say that this is something that I have done ritualistically uh, every day. Um, it's helped out, I think. But what's up? How you doing? And then it's free compost. Yeah. But Zahir, I drink it, and I put my. I also add like all my other supplements in there, so that's where I put my creatine in there. My HMB goes in there, which I got a good deal on that, which is why I take it. But it helps mask the flavor of those. But I add cranberry juice as well, so it's kind of like my fit all shake of the day to get going. Yeah, I need to drink more. Like, the fact I don't make protein shakes 2 or 3 times a day is is ridiculous. I should be, but I drink a shake basically every day because I am so busy, except for right now. Oh, are you talking about me? Oh, you are. I was like, yeah, I am not busy right now, but 2 bananas, milk, whey, creatine, peanut. That's very tasty. I'm trying to remember what I did. I usually use, like, if I make a big pot of coffee and just drink a standard serving size, I'll typically use whatever my leftover coffee is, you know, milk, whey, creatine, definitely put some peanut butter in there. Um, if I have the money or the extra stuff, like if I'm trying to get extra calories in, if I'm trying to go calorie dense, throw some double stuffed Oreos in your shakes, blend those mothers up, and that can be really, really good. Um, but these are fat boy shakes, not skinny boy shakes. Um, but yeah, 2 banana, milk, whey, creatine, peanut butter. It's a good start. Usually, I would also do when I was kind of at, I would say, my strongest, the biggest. It would be very similar to that, but I would add, so it'd be bananas, milk, whey, creatine, peanut butter. I'd probably also put Nutella in there. Well, actually, instead of milk, I used um, soft serve ice cream liquid mix. You could get it at Walmart. I don't know if they still do that, but um, I'd use that and maybe a little bit of milk if it was too thick. Um, and that would kind of be the base of it. I'd probably also throw spinach in there, but yeah, it's a lot of calories. But I don't need to eat that many calories anymore. Actually, I should. If I'm about to train like I want to train, I should be eating more calories. I'm just now in a situation where I can't afford more calories. I eat a lot of ramen, guys. Ramen and ground beef, rice and ground beef, all very, very cheap things. Just bought like 4 rotisserie chickens that I'm going to go pick up today and tear apart so I can eat those. It's going to be amazing. King Nick, how you doing today, by the way? What's your morning routine? Rotisserie gang. Dude, Costco, they were like $4. And I can. The bad part about rotisserie chicken is they're so good, and I can eat a whole chicken in one sitting, no problem. And then I typically do eat a whole turkey, which is not helpful. Or a whole chicken, sorry. Yeah, I don't have a Costco membership. I'm just glad people I know do, and they can pick me up stuff that I need. But yeah, uh, majority of my diet right now is just rice, rice or ramen. That's usually my carb source, and I rotate between chicken and beef as kind of my protein source. I don't want to just eat one or the other predominantly because you can get some like developmental digestive issues in the long run with that. So kind of mix it up. A nice variety based diet is going to be helpful. Um, a lot of eggs. Eggs are amazing, people. If you don't, they're superfood. Eat them. They're great for you. Yolk and all. Don't play this egg white game. Grow up, eat the whole egg. It's fine. They've done the studies. It's not going to kill you. Um, well, it might if you're physically inactive and don't do anything, and then along the same lines, eat an excess amount of calories every day. That's where all these problematic health things that are coming with high egg consumption, I think, stem from a lot of the time is they're not active populations that they're studying. And so it's just people who are inactive, eating in a calorie surplus instead of utilizing those calories as energy. So, or as sufficiently for energy. You're using them for energy no matter what. It's just if you're moving, if you're active, you're going to be utilizing it more efficiently. Yeah. Bum, bum, bum. No, we don't have a Costco. That really sucks for you. Really, really sucks. I got my last chiropractor appointment of the day until because my insurance is going to be done. Uh, so got to take advantage of that. Hopefully, they set me right, and the plan is to bench press a little bit later today. We'll see how that goes. Not looking forward to it. My back and chest are a little tight. And then the plan will be Wednesday. I'm going to do my squat stream, working up to a heavy-ish single for this program. It's not my heaviest single ever. Not by a long shot, which is bums me out, but I got to remember I'm rebuilding. And that I'm not a 286-pound guy anymore who was squatting 5 to 6 days a week. So maybe one day I'll lift the 6 bills again, but not yet. Not yet. I would love it though. Are you streaming any training today, Mason? I also might stream some a ye old Elden Ring today during the middle. Are you calling my garage not a real gym, Mason? How dare you? People pay to train in there. It's real. But next time you're up in Iowa, you gotta stop in and we'll do a stream sesh, a collab stream. Oh. I'm trying to get more people to just come out and get even if it's just lifting with me, getting a quick session in, try to get a more variety of people out in there, and then maybe after a training session, if I can get some strength and conditioning industry people involved, and we just kind of finish training, sit on the porch, have a beer or a coffee or something post training, and stream and answer questions anyone has about it. I think that'd be a kind of like a coaches round table, if you will. I think that would be a really, really cool concept. I know there are other podcasts that kind of do like the one or, 2 or 3 people at one time, but they always have the like Hollywood roundtables on YouTube where they'll get like 4 to 6 actors together or directors and stuff, and then they kind of just get interviewed about stuff going on. I think those go really well. People feeding off each other, I think, is really cool. I mean, my arm's small today. You can't really see anything, so. But there's the flex. But I think that would be fun. Very, very informative. Today, I don't want to do that today. I just want to do it in general. At some point, have like a little strength coach roundtable. I think would be a fun thing to do. I know enough people that at some point it could be possible. Maybe do like a once I'm trying to think, a seasonal one. Oh. Yeah, these guys, they're only 16 inches, guys. They're not, I'm far off my best. I'd like to get to 18-inch arms, but I need to train more like a bodybuilder and not as much like a strength athlete if I ever want to achieve that. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll just add that in. I don't think Bill's watching right now, so that's what I should do on our trap bar deadlift days on Sundays, is just do our deadlift work, and then just arm farm afterwards. Just shoulders and arms. Dude, Poundstone, I don't think he's dead, is he? Did he die? Did Derek die and I didn't know about it? Honestly, probably the best arms ever. I would put him versus Marius in their primes are probably the 2 best physiques that have ever existed in strongman. And Derek Poundstone was just a whole different, Googling people, insane. But he did strongman training while also having like a very, very high work capacity. So I go back and watch some of those videos he would do of like his Viper press for a bajillion reps. And you're just like, how the hell does he do this? I know Rob Kearney Rob Kearney was getting trained and programmed by him and was doing really, 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 really well. I mean, he had that injury on the log press. And then I think things went downhill. But I think when he did the squat at the Arnold, that was under Poundstone. The first time he broke the American record was under Poundstone for the press and the axle. So it's kind of one of those things where I think he was it says he has on his, unless he's doing specifically different strongman coaching, I know he's been doing the he's working with that CrossFit organization. I know Amy Everett does their weightlifting stuff. I can't remember who it is, but I know it says he's coached by someone who is not Derek Poundstone on his Instagram, but I don't know I know at one point when he was prepping for stuff, he was doing kind of CrossFit accessory workouts on top of his stuff. I do think that, you know, specifically him, like if for some reason some rich guy all of a sudden was like, hey, we're going to pay you, pay your bills, pay for food, do all this stuff, whatever you need to live, and you've got 3 years to make it to world's strongest man, or something like that, where there's a finite amount of time. It's like, go find a coach, this is the goal. I feel like between him and maybe Lawrence Shaw, because we've already seen Lawrence Shaw has produced a lot of very good strongman athletes, but I think both him and Poundstone understand kind of the approach to it for not the freaks of nature. Like Poundstone was a freak of nature, but he wasn't 6'7", 6'8", or 6'9", or anything like that. He was a freak of nature in another way, I think, mentality-wise. He'd be really good. Who's the other guy? There's Lawless. I would love to have been trained by Lawless, because he's like 5'10" or 5'11", which is awesome. But there are a plethora of very good shorter strongmen coming out now, and I think that for the longest time it was just the monsters that were living it. And nowadays, Alexei isn't, I mean, he's big, but he's not huge. Pavlov's not huge. He's very strong. Yeah. So I don't know if he does. Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out, because I know he does the strongman for that, but I didn't know if he was getting coached by someone else at the same time. It's one of those things that I'm not sure of. I've looked into it and I'm just not 100% sure. But I hope he comes back. He was doing a good job. I hope his overhead stuff gets back to where it was. It's unfortunate that he had that tricep tear, but that's life. That's life. I'm interested to see what the other thing, and what I guess what your thoughts are on this, Mason, is Hafthor coming back with the injury. With the injury, do you think Thor is going to recover and then try to go after the bench press record again, or this is what I think he should do, is just go back into strongman, start prepping for that during his recovery, because he can do a lot of stuff without utilization of that pec, and then just kind of get back in. I still think that if he comes back and he takes it seriously like he did before, with the weights that they're using in today's competitions, he doesn't need to get that big. He will still be very, very terrifying to compete against. So I hope he comes back and does strongman. I feel like with him and the time in which he was competing, to be really solidified as one of the, he had that amazing season. But if he could win like the Arnold or if he could win Worlds another time, or come out and win the Shaw Classic, stuff like that, I think it would cement him as one of the top to ever do it, even though he had a shorter career. But it's very, very important to kind of have that built up. I'm curious to see what he does. The powerlifting thing is like, yeah, you can go for the record, but your max strength keeps increasing for quite a few years after this, but your speed is going to start decreasing a lot. You might as well take advantage of your youth. If you plan on doing strongman, get back into it and just go full bore. And I think that would have helped build up that musculature as well, more efficiently. He just hadn't been training heavy. He's a freak of nature. I think his strength was there, but I just don't think that he had enough time for those tendons to adapt to it, and it was just too strong for his body. Oh, and Mason, I did see the text about the the team thing that the I think Des Moines Barbell's holding. I hope they do it again next year, because if they do, you and I should just spend a whole year training for it. You'll be the small side of 220, and I'll be the big side of 220. Actually, I guess I don't know how much you're weighing right now, but